I, 27, male, got married to my lovely wife about a year ago. My wife, 26, and I have been together for the past 5 years. Things were going well between us, and we decided marriage was the next step for our successful relationship. What I had not guessed was going to be her infidelity. My wife has always been someone who has had wandering eyes. It started pretty small with her maybe staring at someone pretty, liking their Instagram posts and everything. The first time I saw an issue with this behavior was when she started leaving flirty comments on Instagram posts of our friends who were a bit more fitness focused. My friends told me about it, and when I confronted her, she told me that if her words are being misunderstood as flirty by others, then that is not on her because she did not mean it as flirty. I believed her. This was early in the relationship, by the way. I'm talking about 2 years into the relationship. Anyway, after that, somewhere around our third anniversary, she told me that she misses being single because she feels like she had been leaving out a lot of things because of my sake. When I tried to ask her which things she's been missing out on by being with me, she did not specify, but it was clear that she missed having sex with more than one person. As we were both pretty young and adventurous, I tried to give the whole open relationship thing a go, and while on the surface it seemed like a great time for the 6 months it happened, I was not at all happy. I hated seeing her with so many different guys just for the sake of adventure. The open relationship stopped the moment she started seeing that I was getting a little cozy with another woman. She told me that she has considered everything and she only wants to be with me from this point forward. I was extremely happy to hear that. Fast forward a year and a half, and we were married. Our married life was not unstable by any means. Everything was going pretty all right on the surface, and I had no idea what was about to happen to me. After our wedding, my wife got the opportunity to take up a job in Sweden. She had always wanted to work for the company, and going to Sweden for the job would look good on her resume. So when she told me about it, I was happy to hear that. But ever since she reached Sweden, her entire demeanor towards me changed. She was no longer interested in calling. She barely ever asked me about how my day was going. Whenever I would call her, I would receive the same answer, which is, I am so busy. Why did you call right now? Etc. By the end of 5 months, we were barely talking. But I could see her social media posts and I could see that she was safe and sound, and that was honestly all that mattered to me. Until I started noticing this guy. This guy was common in every picture she had and always lingered close to her despite how big the group was. A little strange if you ask me, but okay. On the rare occasions my wife and I did talk, I asked her about the guy and she would snap at me, call me crazy and paranoid. Not only did she say that to my face, but she also told her family members about it. She told them that I am jealous, insecure, and a deadbeat husband who just wants to cause drama by picking out her male coworkers. Her parents called me and had a talk with me, which can be boiled down to, hey, just trust our daughter because she would never. And that was about it. They told me that they knew I was a jealous partner, but they never thought that I would be this jealous and weak. They were screaming their heads off at me and barely letting me talk. But what I got from that aggressive screaming match was, my wife was pregnant, and because I'm a delusional, paranoid person, I refused to be the father of the child and suggested that that is her co-worker's kid. First of all, I did not know she was pregnant. Second of all, if she was pregnant, there is no way it was mine because I had not seen her for about 7 months at this point. When I tried to tell them that, they told me that their daughter did tell them that I would say things like that, and they simply could not believe that I would go as far as to deny everything and pretend that my wife did not come home when she had. I tried to call my wife and have a conversation with her, but she repeatedly refused to pick up my calls. It was an awful situation because I had not seen my wife in 7 months. and I did not have sex with her, so there is no way it is mine. By snooping around a little, I found out that my wife returned home 3 months after leaving for Sweden, met up with her parents, and told them that she was living with me when she did not drop by our place or meet with me at all. It was jarring how she was doing everything because she simply ignored my existence, and I learned about her 3-month return tour from my in-laws, from their screaming sessions. By the time everything was said and done, I was ostracized by my in-laws. They slandered me online and told even my relatives about this. My parents were extremely shocked hearing the accusations. I am lucky that when I told them about what had truly happened, they believed me. I essentially went no contact with everyone and talked to the family lawyer about a divorce. They said that once we have lived separately for a year, I can file for it. I have not seen my wife for the past 6 months. I have not seen her at all, and I'm not too upset about it. If I'm being honest, I have come to terms with her disappearance. What I did not come to terms with was her parents calling me names and spreading the rumors about me that they did because their princess could never. Well, 3 days ago, I got a call from my in-laws. They were extremely meek during the conversation, almost like they were being forced to do something that they had no plan on doing. They were constantly beating around the bush, which pissed me off. So I asked them to say what they want to say, and well, they apologized. They told me that they are sorry for being that way towards me. They even went as far as to say that because of my culture, they assumed that all the typical stereotypes about men of my race, being controlling, paranoid, and a little bit too clingy, were true. I am not white. And they assumed that their daughter was saying the truth when she said that I wanted to be a deadbeat dad. However, as she gave birth a while ago and they had the opportunity to meet the kid, it was very clear to them that my wife had lied to them about everything. It was indeed the affair partner's kid and everything. They apologized to me profusely, but I am not sure. Will I be petty if I did not accept their apology? They wanted to meet with me face to face and have a conversation with me about everything and how we can all move past it. What do you guys think? Update 1. Thank you everyone for all the pieces of advice. I did meet up with them like some of you suggested for the closure, but they looked like they had seen a ghost when I did show up. They told me they were not expecting me to show up at all. They apologized to me again and told me how they really should not have believed their daughter so blindly and should have given me a benefit of the doubt. I mean, sure, I can see where they're coming from, but at the same time, I do not think what they did is so easily forgivable, and I told them that. I also mentioned the racist connotations you guys pointed out, and oh boy, their face was a sight to behold. I told them that I am not planning on forgiving them anytime soon, as when they defamed me, it was a very big public announcement, but when it comes to apologizing, it is completely under wraps. That is not very fair. After saying my bit, I left them at the restaurant because I wanted them to have their moment and figure out what they wanted to do with me concerning everything. Update 2. They contacted me again and told me that I was right about whatever I said. I have sent the signed documents to my lawyer and I will be out of this wedding from hell in no time. Honestly, I feel so much better, to be honest. I cannot wait to be done with her and her family. On the other hand, yeah, so getting those divorce papers signed has caused some drama in her life. From whatever I heard from my in-laws, the bits and pieces fell together and essentially, my wife never told her co-worker that she was married. She had a fiery relationship with him, got pregnant, had the baby, and now is engaged to be wedded to her. She essentially pretended so hard that I did not exist that she forgot that I did. The divorce papers were quite a shock for her and her Swedish partner. I think that is the reason why I got the signed copies so quickly, because she wanted to be out of what we had before she went together with him. Oh well, it is what it is. Thanks, everyone. NTA. Also, is it just me or does anybody see the blatant racism the OP's in-laws were showing? They assumed that just because there is a stereotype about OP's race being deadbeat fathers, he would be one too. This is pathetic, and the families suck ass. NTA, OP, but the signs of your marriage crumbling was there from the get-go. She asked for an open relationship so that she had other bed partners. How could you miss such a sign? But either way, I'm happy to hear that she has signed the divorce papers and you will be out of this toxic marriage soon. All is well that ends well. Yeah. Next story. Sorry if this ends up being ranty, but I'm so annoyed. So, roommate has put in several years of effort to learn Spanish and is essentially as fluent as one can be when they haven't spent a lot of time immersed in the language. I don't know any Spanish, and before any days, I'm jealous about them knowing more languages. I know ASL German, Latin, and am decently good at Japanese, so I know about learning languages. Fine, whatever. It's not a problem. The issue is that they have developed a habit of only talking in Spanish to me. Not like a canned phrase here or there, not speaking Spanish to themselves or with a friend or asking me to help with flashcards or studying. No, they will reply to everything I say in Spanish, even in text. Like they know I don't know any Spanish, but every freaking conversation has become me saying something, them responding in Spanish, and me getting frustrated and asking them to just reply in English or at least ASL since we both speak that. It all kind of boiled over, and I snapped this morning and yelled at them, saying, I don't speak Spanish. You know I don't speak Spanish. You know I don't know what you're saying, so why the frick do you keep doing this? They shot back, claiming they needed the practice and that it's rude of me to always snap at them for learning a language. I got even more pissed and basically yelled, fine, then no more Spanish in the apartment. Same for any other language we both don't know. If you speak to me on anything other than English or ASL, I won't respond. They call me racist and lock themselves in their room. We haven't really talked since then, and my friends are pretty split on if I made the right call. So, AITA? Edit. I mentioned the first few times that I didn't understand why they were responding in just Spanish because I couldn't understand it. They kept using the practice excuse, and I just decided to drop it at first, but it kept happening. Edit 2. I get what y'all are saying about just responding in German or Latin or whatever, but I don't know if that's actually gonna, solve anything. In my experience, fighting petty with petty just pisses everyone off more. Edit 3. Well, this all shows my ignorance, but sorry about the insistence on my roommate being white having nothing to do with Spanish. I grew up basically on the border of the southern USA, so my first instinct for Spanish begins and ends with South America and the Hispanic community I grew up next to. So much so, I forgot Spain exists. That's my bad, and I apologize for that. Edit 4. Okay, I get it. I messed up with the white thing. Can we move on? LMFAO, this is a strange situation, but no, NTA. Your roommate needs to stop trying to speak Spanish to you all of the time if you don't understand what the hell she's ever saying. She sounds like she's totally trolling you and trying to piss you off, especially since she's aware you don't know the language. You didn't snap at her learning Spanish. You snapped at her for constantly speaking to you in a language she knows you don't understand. It's okay for her to learn a different language, but why does she feel the need to do this 24/7? Also, it's totally rude of her to use all of your conversations as a practice routine. Who the frick does this? That's so weird. NTA, if she wants to practice and use it more in everyday life, she can go out and meet someone else who speaks the language so that she can continue to learn. You can even look for people to practice languages with online. I found people to practice speaking Thai within a couple of Discord groups I'm in. There is literally no reason for her to not speak to you in a language you both can understand. She's being rude. Next story. I am 19, female. Dad is 42. Dad's wife, who I'll call Jan, is 48. My little brother is 14. Little backstory. I've never viewed Jan as a parental figure. She only married Dad 5 years ago after meeting about 14 months before that. On Thursdays, I go out with a friend and have a few drinks. Last week, I was the designated driver and my friend covered dinner and a few drinks. This week, my friend was the designated driver and I covered dinner and a few drinks. This Thursday has just gone and I went for these drinks with my friend. I walked out the front door with Jan sitting at the dinner table doing a puzzle right next to the door. I didn't say anything because I don't need to. She said nothing to me and didn't ask me anything. Then I walked down our driveway and got picked up by my friend. Later on, when my friend dropped me home, Dad had gotten home by then and was in the kitchen. As I walked to the door to untie my shoes before I went inside, he said, "I was wondering why your car was home, but you weren't." I said, "Oh, well, I told little brother. Did he not say?" Jan was still at the table by the door doing her puzzle. When I said this, she piped up and said, "Little brother, isn't the other parent around here?" Now, I had had a few drinks, so I was a little more confident than usual, so I said, "Well, there's only one." This was ignored and Jan said, "You walked right past me behind my back." The chair she was sitting in to do her puzzle faces away from the door. At this point, I stayed quiet and just went through the door and into my room to put my wallet and shoes away. If I had said anything, I would have said, "And you didn't care to ask, so you didn't find out." Jan hasn't spoken to me since. Not that that's unusual. She definitely seemed a bit miffed by it, though. She has always liked to think of herself as a parent, even though she doesn't have any kids, and my siblings and I were too old to ever see her as one. Dad is fine that I went out and he wasn't sure where I was. He trusts me not to get hurt or lost. If he was concerned, he would have called me. Edit. Apparently it's important to the situation. Jan treats me like an obstacle to a marriage she rushed into against everyone's better advice. By everyone, I mean her parents, her sister, and my dad's sister, and all their friends. Heck, even as a 14-year-old, I could see they hadn't spent enough time getting to know each other. NTA, you spoke the truth. Your dad doesn't have any problem with it, it seems. Only Jan, who sees herself as more than she is. I despise the entitlement people feel once married to anoint themselves as parents or guardians of other people's children, unless that's been openly discussed and agreed upon. In this case, it clearly hasn't been, and even if it was, when you were a minor, you aren't anymore, so it would be over. Don't be surprised if Jan uses this as a wedge issue. I wouldn't call you the AH here. It is closer to ESH at a fairly low level. It wouldn't hurt to casually say, "See you later, I'm out with friends," just as a courteous comment to someone you live with. That wouldn't be asking permission or putting her in a parental position. At the same time, her comment was a bit resentful and your response was also sharp. A bit petty all the way around, but it shouldn't need to turn into a big thing. While you are living at home, this is just nice manners to update people even if you are old enough to be making your own decisions. NTA. People who marry into families need to understand that that does not automatically make you somebody's mom or dad, especially not if that person is already an adult. A 19-year-old isn't in need of a stepmom being forced upon her and shouldn't feel pressured into treating somebody like such. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.